Hey everybody, it's me Margaret, and I'm here with a different video today. I am on a quest to figure out how I'm going to be able to pack in a carry-on only for as long as I want, like even 10 days to 2 weeks, because we usually don't take trips longer than that, but be comfortable in doing so. And when you start doing your research, boy, there's a lot of great ideas, there's a lot of weird ideas, but yet there's something out there for everybody. But a lot of the ideas won't even apply to you. Why? Because packing is so personal. We take different things because we need different things. Not to mention that there's a different kind of vacations that you take. For example, going skiing is going to be very different than going on a family vacation to the beach. I mean, two completely different needs. Or do you need formal wear? You know, things like that. So bottom line is, this video is to teach you to think about your own needs and get creative problem solving for making sure you can still get everything you need in those carry-on bags. So for years we used to say, oh, let's just check a bag, it's easier. But you know what? It's really not necessarily easier. First of all, you still have to schlep those bags from your home to the airport, then from the airport to the destination, and then reverse that whole process in order to come home. So there's that. Another thing is that most airlines these days are charging for bags, for every bag that you check, somewhere around $35. And I don't know about you, but I would rather spend that $35 on fun, not somebody checking, you know, carrying my bags. No. And then of course there's lost luggage. How many times do I have to experience lost luggage before I finally learned? I mean, it happened last big trip that we took, and you know, yeah, I'm a seasoned traveler. I know how to pack that change of clothes and fresh pajamas in my carry-on bag just in case, and I've had to use it every time. But you know, once I didn't. You know why? Because we were on our way home. Second leg of the flight got canceled due to snowstorms, and there we were in a hotel. It was horrible, and I didn't have anything because I was thinking, why pack it for the carry-on? We're going home. If my luggage gets lost, no big deal. Well, it was. And by the way, in that case, the luggage wasn't lost. It's just that we checked it at our first point, and then when we made the connecting flight, it was canceled. That connecting flight was canceled. So what can you do? The luggage is already on its way. But there's one other thing to think about, and that is safety concerns. This never occurred to me. I was reading somewhere on one of these big travel websites, and they were saying that schlepping those big bags around makes you look like a newbie tourist. And what that does is open you up for the possibility of theft. Now, of course, everybody is open for the possibility of theft, but crooks are going to go to the weakest link. So who do you think? Who would you choose if you were going to try to take somebody's stuff? The person with the least resistance, the newbie tourist. So traveling with carry-ons shows that you're a little bit more seasoned. You know the ropes. And speaking of that, luggage tags that cover your information. Now the airline needs to have this information on there, because if you do lose your stuff, or if something is taken or misplaced by accident, or something happens, they need to have contact information so they can get it back to you, right? You don't want to have your personal information, your name, address, and your phone number totally exposed for anyone to see. Think about how long you may be standing in line, and it's very easy these days for someone to just whip out a phone and snap a picture. So there's plenty of options. Now this one happened to come with my Away luggage, and Away is the brand that we have. I do not have a discount code for you, but my daughter may. She has done several reviews on these bags and is considered an ambassador, so I'm going to look that up for you because we highly recommend them. Now, step one for thinking about this process is to identify what your problem areas are. For me, clothes are not that big of a deal. Mixing and matching capsule wardrobes, they're called, where everything in your wardrobe goes with everything else. And usually this is pretty easy, unless of course you have formal wear or something like that. And of course, as we talked about before, going to a cold weather climate, you're going to have different needs, blah, 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 blah. Regardless, that is the least challenging problem that I face. Mine is the dreaded liquids bag. But if clothes are the problem for you, look around. You've got a lot of people who give you suggestions out there on the internet, both in blog format and video format. But here's the deal. I can't recommend those for you because everybody's styles are so different. Styles are total opinion. So you search out what you like the best. So let's move on to those liquids, the things that give me the biggest headache. Now, first of all, there's the 3-1-1 rule as of this filming in 2022. But I just found out that we're having some new technologies that are being released to some of the bigger airports that will make this rule obsolete in the future. However, it's not all here yet, certainly not at all the airports, so we still have to abide by the rules. Link in the description box because things will be ever changing as they tend to do. Now, what that means is that one person can have one bag and nothing inside that bag can be over 3.4 ounces. Now that's the Americanized version. The actual is 100 milliliters, which is equal to 3.4 ounces. And you can buy it in a lot of things that are, travel size things like this. You'll see them everywhere. I do highly recommend this, and I'll put a link in the description box below because it's squeezy. That's what you can look for whether you use that link or not. And the reason why is because it's so hard to get things out of bottles that you can't squeeze unless they're very liquidy, right? But things like lotion, you can roll it down and squeeze it out. So that's great. Another thing that is the actual measurement is this size of the bag. It's really 1 liter. And the closest thing that we can buy here in America would be a quart size bag. Now, a couple years ago, I found this at the Dollar Tree. It was labeled by hefty travel bags, but you know what? All it is a quart size zipper bag. Now, I used quart size zipper bags for years because in my mind it was smaller and thinner and you didn't want to buy anything, extra and that sort of thing. But guess what? I was wrong, because you can actually buy these things that are TSA approved that are going to give you more room. This is a clamshell. You see how it opens and closes? That means that things are easy to get in and out of. So you can easily fit more stuff in here. Now, another thing that's important, and again, think differently, think outside of the box, is how long is your trip? Do you really need all this lotion for the length of time that you're going to be gone? I don't know, you may or may not. And depending on your skin type, maybe you could just use the lotion that the hotel provides. I can't. That's just like putting water on my skin. It doesn't do any good. So let's say you don't need that much. For example, foundation. I keep my foundation in a little bottle just like this. It actually was something else. I just happened to save this little bottle because I thought it was a handy size, and it is. This is all I need, and it would actually last me for probably a month. So there's that. Creams, what do you have? And you have to think, how much can I use? And this, for example, you can buy these little things like this. However, I saved it. And I used the product up. I just saved the little container, which is pretty handy dandy. Here's a little pump bottle. I don't even remember what was in this, but I will tell you that this had a label, and I just peeled the label off. But this, which was, I do remember, this was an Olay moisturizer, and it was printed on there. All the information was printed. It wasn't a label I could peel off, but I just got some fingernail polish remover, and I just wiped it across there, and it came off perfectly. So I have a pump bottle now that works great. And yes, it locks, in case you're worried about having it squirt out, or something pressing it in your bag. So it does lock, so there's that. Now we'll point this out. These are those silicone reusable bags. You're supposed to use them for food. They're sold when you look in the kitchen section of, say, Amazon. And I have a set of these in all different sizes. I bought the multi-size set because I use them for traveling. But I don't know if these would be cleared in TSA because they are not clear. They're frosted. So yeah, you can kind of see through, kind of see things through there, but I don't know if this is a good thing to use for your liquid bags, so be aware of that. I really, really love downsizing because I can fit so much more when I move to smaller containers. Yes, this is allowed, but this is the largest that's allowed. So go ahead and put your things in smaller containers if you can. Now we have TSA pre-check. That's a US thing. Not everybody has it. So what that means is that we will put our stuff on the conveyor, walk through without taking our shoes off or anything, no problem, because they've already done a background check on us, so they know we're not criminals. So it's a little bit easier to let these things go through. However, when we had a connecting flight in Heathrow in London, They don't have that sort of thing, and they don't care that a U.S. government has done some sort of background check on us. So you still have to put your stuff like this, take it out, run it through the conveyor separately, and the whole shebang. So unless you're TSA pre-check, I can't speak today, and flying only domestically, then you better make sure you've got your stuff packed properly. Now, common sense will tell us that another good idea is to think about what you can not bring at all. All right, for example, shampoo. Is the shampoo in the hotel something that you can use? Because you know not everybody can. Those of us with color treated hair, if I use that Neutrogena shampoo in a regular hotel room, it just strips the color right off my hair. Those of us with extra curly hair may have different needs, you know, and different things like that. So I have little packets of shampoo and conditioner that I can use. So I can bring these little flat packets, and it takes up a lot less room. But this is one of my favorite tips. Think of anything that is not liquid that can come in a solid form but do the same job. For example, I personally never use hand sanitizer. That just makes my skin so incredibly dry. And another thing I don't like about it is it doesn't actually clean. All it does is kill germs that are on the surface of your hands. So they're not taking any grease off your hands or dirt or anything like that. I like the friction that I get from a wipe. And we take these and have for years on all of our trips, long before there was ever any COVID. We would come home from Disney without anybody getting what's called the Disney crud, because I had made sure everybody's hands were clean before we ate, and I wiped off tables, and especially in the airplane, and you know that's just a common thing everybody knows, is to wipe down the tables. Probably a good idea. Wipe everything down, armrests, anything that you're going to touch, just because you don't know if the person before you had a cold or anything else that they might transmit to you. So it's just a good idea to be clean, right? I'm going to link these particular ones in the description box below. A great alternative to alcohol sterilization. So it may be overkill to you, but it's what we do. Now you also have options. Here's the wet ones. They're individual wipes that are very easy to just slip in a backpack or day bag or purse or whatever. So you've got this option as well. All kinds of wipes don't count as liquids, so that's important. So speaking of wipes, how do you take your makeup off? Do you use a liquid makeup remover? Well, use these instead. Now this is a brand new packet, so look how thick it is. So I would probably count the number of days that I was going to be gone, take them out, put them in a Ziploc bag so that I would have fewer ones to take and take up less room, obviously. This is the sensitive skin version from Equate, and I can personally vouch for these. They work beautifully. They take off every kind of makeup. Now, well, let me tell you, I use these to remove the makeup. I don't use any kind of wipe as a total cleanser, so I will always wash my face after that. But this is the sensitive skin version, so it doesn't leave my face red, doesn't have fragrance, that sort of thing. Highly recommend these. Now, what about cleanser? Do you have a special cleanser that you like to use on your face? Well, I do, but I have been known to completely skip that and use these. Now this is an Olay brand. I don't have the outside box to show you. I'll put a picture somewhere in here. But what they are dry cloths with cleanser, dry cleanser on them. So you just take them and get them wet, lather them up, and then you wash. I don't use these when I'm at home, but I do take these when I travel because, again, they don't have to go in that 3-1-1 liquid bag. Now, I am also a messy klutz, and I will be dropping food on me for whatever reason. I don't know how it happens. There's times that I just run into things and I end up with something on the side of me. So I love to take a Tide pen, or in this case, this is an OxyClean pen. Works fine. And even if it doesn't take the stain out, what it does is kind of prevent it from setting, so when you wash it, everything is good. Good things. However, this counts as a liquid, but these don't. This is the Shout to Go wipes, and they're very much like this, individual wrapped little wipes. So it's the same thing as this, and I actually prefer it because I can dab at a stain and get it out. And I used these the whole time when we had kids. Works like a charm. Always have had these in I keep them in my purse, actually, right, and use them on a regular basis. So good thing to know. And did you know that you can have solid sunscreens? Here's one by Aveeno. It's actually like a deodorant, like a solid deodorant. So you don't have to pack a sunscreen in that 3-1-1 bag either. So there you go. Good tip. There's lots of different brands out there, so look for your favorite. Both chemical and mineral sunscreens are available. And there are also sunscreen wipes, which would be great as well. Oh, let's go back to shampoo. Something I don't have and have never tried is a solid shampoo bar. They make shampoo and conditioner bars, but they are highly rated. I would suggest from the reading and the research that I've done that you buy it ahead of time and try, because there's all kinds of different versions, just as there are for regular shampoos. So if you have a special need for a special hair, try it ahead of time and see what you think before you go off on your vacation and end up with flat hair or frizzy hair or greasy looking hair or whatever it is. But shampoo, solid shampoo and conditioner bars are great options too. Now, a word about perfume. Now, we love to smell good, okay? That's just kind of our culture, and that's all well and good, but consider skipping it. That's something that you can certainly have a wonderful, enjoyable vacation without your perfume, right? Another thing we often think about is we think we smell delightful, but not everybody shares your taste in perfume, and so it might be your favorite, it might be someone else's dreaded version. Nothing is worse than having to sit down next to somebody who is reeking of perfume and you're in a small, confined place. So I would say that's something that you may never have thought about. Just be a considerate traveler, you know, there's that. But if you can't go without your perfume, that's fine. They make solid perfumes. And there's also DIY websites where you can take your own perfume and turn it into a solid so that you don't have to, change scents or something like that. For that reason. Another thing you could do is saturate a cotton ball and put it into a small container, a small sealable container. That saturated cotton ball will last you for your whole trip as long as you keep it from drying out. So you could just, dab a little bit here and there, and then you don't have the added space of having a bottle of expensive, probably, perfume in your bag that could possibly get broken, and then, yikes. Just a thought, but I know that that's a situation where it's highly personal and everybody has their preferences. But wait, here's an important note. Transference of any kind could actually alter your scent, so keep that in mind. For example, as soon as some fragrances get exposed to the air, it could actually alter it in some way. That's a consideration. And they do make these special little containers for perfume, for spray bottles, for example. You put it on top, and I'll put a clip to show you. I've never used those, so I really don't know how they work, and I don't always trust the Amazon reviews, but what I do trust is YouTube, where they actually demonstrate the process so you can see for yourself, is it really as easy as this thing is claiming? And they'll tell you if it burst in their luggage or something like that, so that's important to know. Okay, let's take a minute to talk makeup. First of all, common sense is going to say, hey, pare it down. You don't have to bring everything that you own. Get yourself a basic look. If you have to dress up, of course, keep that in mind, but there are ways that you can get a dressier look from a small amount of makeup. But I do want to show you something that I do that I think is wonderful. All right, here's some examples of different types of makeups, and the cases themselves are actually taking up a lot of room. And there's something, again, on YouTube that you can learn about called depotting. And what you're doing is actually, the powders are easy, right? You just pour them into a smaller container. But for shadows and things like that, you're actually removing them from their original containers, and you're putting them in a DIY palette, which is something like this. And this happens to be magnetic, and you can see some examples that I have in here. The problem is this one that I bought is actually too big. I found I don't even need this much. Let me show you what I use. I said, I wonder how small I could go, and I happen to have this little container. It's just a little plastic box, and I don't even remember what was in it. So I was just testing out the different shapes and all that kind of stuff, and so here we have a palette. I use this every day, as a matter of fact. So let me give you an idea of how much room I've saved with this consolidation depotting method. I think this was an eyeshadow quad by Maybelline, and you know about how big that would have been. And here, I tried to match up the sizes of all these other palettes so you could see the comparison. At the top was a Benefit Blush Single. From the left were certain pieces from the Emily Edit palette by Makeup Revolution, and at the bottom, I only had one brown from the NYX palette. So that was a huge space saver to be able to use just that brown. And by the way, those are designed to be easily popped out, so it was the simplest to remove. For the most part, I just use basic colors anyway and change the look with my lipstick. So search YouTube for depotting makeup. That's all you have to put in the search box, and lots of people will come up, and look at several of them because there's different ways. Some people just use a hair straightener, you know, the flat end of a hair straightener to warm the bottom, and the sticky stuff comes out. I happen to use I have a big like skillet thing that you plug in separately from the stove. It's, you know, heats by itself, and I just put that on real low, and I would set the little makeup thing on it, and it just popped off easy as you please. Not a problem. Now there's some things like this IT Cosmetics powder foundation that I would think probably would be hard to take out of its case, simply because the case is overkill. It's huge. So I don't know, but you know what? This won't go with me. I'll just do without it. Now what I happened to do in this case as I was testing is I just glued it to a piece of paper on the back here to see, and then I was like, hey, this is pretty easy. So I just stuck the whole thing in there. And then to keep it from breaking, I have some cotton that I recycled from a vitamin bottle, and I put that in there, and now it's fine. So I'll just replace the parts that I wear out, or you know, whatever for next time. If you don't want to go to all that trouble, of course, you can look for different palettes. What is this? This is the Too Faced Natural Matte palette, and it comes in this little tin like this. And this is a wonderful product that I love. Note that this is only an eyeshadow palette. My DIY palette includes eyeshadow, blush, translucent powder, and that I also use as an eyeshadow base. So I personally have exactly what I use and nothing that I don't. There are very few products that are your whole face, but you can find some of them that are called face palettes that give you most everything, but you know, that's totally personal. Here is an example of how much space that I am saving by transferring my foundation into a smaller container. And remember, this is going in the liquid spot. This does not have to go in the liquids, obviously, but you're just saving space in your suitcase, but in the liquids. And you can also purchase things like this, by the way, which I did, and I'll link these below. These are actually a very simple but impressive little gadget. Here you can see up close how it's designed. I have foundation in here, and then there's this little stopper right there. When you pump, it sucks the air out, creating a vacuum, and it lifts the product up. So it's essentially kind of cleaning out the tube, which, you know, is pretty handy dandy. However, this is how it comes, and you have a little top here to keep it from accidentally being pressed, and then you remove this, and then you fill it up. Seems so simple, right? Except for the fact that if you only fill it up so high, the instructions will tell you that you just keep pumping, pumping, pumping until you remove all the excess air. Well, you know, depending upon how much product you want, what if you only want this much? Well, then you're going to be pumping for days to remove that excess air. So here is the trick. Flip it over, and you'll see on the bottom that there's actually two pieces. There's that suction piece, and then there's this little cover right here. The little cover has a hole in it, so take a paper clip, stick it in the hole, and just pop it out. Like that, very simple. It's supposed to do that. You're not breaking anything. And then you can adjust the amount of the liquid by just, you know, inserting something. This is an eyeliner thing, and you just push it up like that. Now the instructions will tell you that after you've used everything up, you can actually go the other direction to push the thing down so that you could wash it and reuse it again. That's wonderful. But it doesn't tell you the shortcut about filling it up and removing the excess air the easy way by pushing this little gadget up through the system. So now you know. Oh, and don't forget the last step, and that is to put your little bottom back on. Boom. Now you're ready to go. Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I hear that you've traveled a lot in your career.
Yes. Too much.
Do you pack shaving cream?
Not now, no.
And what do you use?
I use conditioner from the hotel.
And who taught you that?
My brilliant wife.
I did. I have never used shaving cream, ever. I've always used hair conditioner. And just stop and think about it. The purpose of hair conditioner is merely to soften the hair and to give your razor a surface to slide on. And it works perfectly for me, but surprisingly it worked for Tucker because his hair on his face is so incredibly thick and rough that it's like chopping down trees. So if it works for him, it will work for you. Hair conditioner. Jewelry is another subject. You see all these wonderful travel jewelry rolls that you could buy, and yeah, okay, well you can do that if you want to. To me, it's just added bulk. Whereas I have something very small that I put my jewelry in, that, or may even put it in a Ziploc bag, depending. But you know what? I really pare my jewelry down. Again, depending upon the situation. If you're going to Vienna to hear a concert, then you're going to have to dress a little nicer, and sometimes you just need that accessory to complete the outfit. I understand that. But for the most part, if you're just running around being a tourist, basic earrings and your watch, possibly a small necklace would be all you really do need. As a matter of fact, this is my mother's wedding set. I would leave that at home. Yes, I wear it pretty much on a regular basis, but I would leave that at home. I wouldn't want to risk losing it, and I have lost jewelry when I traveled before. My own fault, nobody stole it. But also, if you happen to have large jewels that are very enticing, again, that could make you a safety hazard. You could actually be a draw for some crook, if you know what I'm talking about. So I generally will keep my wedding set. Depending on where we're going or what we're doing, I may leave the engagement ring home, but just something for you to think about. Just because something is marketed with the word travel version on it doesn't mean you have to have it. And I did see a video by a really good presenter, by the way. She was great, she's wonderful, but obviously she checked her bags because she had a case for everything, even the wipes that I showed you earlier for disinfectant. I was like, whoa. So not to mention the fact that all that stuff costs money, you know, and do you really want to spend your money on all those tiny little things that you may or may not like to use on a regular basis? But more importantly, I want to save the space. So shoe bags, for example, are something that people think that they have to have. Well, in order to use a shoe bag, you have to put the shoes together so that they both fit, you know, in the shoe bag, right? You lose a little flexibility in how you can arrange things in your suitcase when you do that. Am I saying to go without covering your shoes? No. Shoes are dirty and germy. You don't want to just protect the clothes from the dirt, you want to protect everything from the germs. Where have you been in those shoes? Did you go in a public restroom? Did you walk outside on grass that was chemically treated? I mean, you don't want to take that stuff and put it in there. If you have a shoe bag, then the inside of your bag is going to contain all those germs and chemicals or what have you, and so that has the added responsibility of having to clean that out. And if you don't, what kind of bacterial growth could actually happen over a period of time inside that bag? So I am totally against those. Some people say, well, I use fabric bags, they're washable. Fabric bags are porous, so all those little microorganisms can easily still get all inside your clothes and on your stuff, and heaven forbid if you pack something like this separately. And no, I don't do that. So what do I do? Well, I use something that's disposable because I want to throw it away. Now, before you get all on me about being green and everything, I'll link you to another video I've done before about how I reduce my carbon footprint every day. Am I as good as some people? Maybe not, but I'm probably better than the majority of Americans, at least people that I know. And so I feel okay with this. Now, number one, depending on where you live, you probably would have an endless supply of grocery bags like this. Your country or your state may not, but have no fear because you know good and well that you're getting plastics in other ways, like this bathroom tissue. This was what, 9 rolls of bathroom tissue that we got from Costco. And so now what I have is a bag that I can put my stuff in and easily dispose of without feeling like I have wasted anything. I'm not wasting. I would have disposed of this bag anyway. So here's the deal. If I'm going to throw it away, I want to give it another use before I throw it away. Does that make sense? For example, this is Costco paper towel bag. It's actually the perfect size for a tall kitchen garbage bag. So you could use this for dirty clothes in your packing as well. And depending upon the size of the shoes, any little bag may do. I have 2 flip-flops in this little bag. This was actually, I think I ordered a shirt or something from this that came packaged in this. And as you can see, here are my 2 little flip-flops that fit nicely into this little bag. So, you know, depending upon the shoe and how you're packing your suitcase and what size shoe you wear, etc., 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 you'll have to determine which bag is best for you. But I would say no more shoe travel bags. Now there's certain things that you don't want to travel with anyway, like a hairdryer. Most hotels these days have one. If there is not one in your room, you call down to the front desk and tell them you need one. Another thing that I wouldn't travel with is the travel steamer. It seems like we all have one. We think it's important to take with us, but you certainly can do without it. There are irons in the room. Most of them that I've ever seen are steam irons, and you can literally hold them and press the little steam button. You hold them vertically and they'll, you know, steam your clothes if you need that. I have just switched most of my clothes over to travel clothes. Now, what are they? If you try to search that out, you're going to find some really expensive clothes, like $245 for a pair of pants, which I'm not going to wear, especially not when some of my weight might fluctuate here and there. I'm not going to buy that. Instead, look for athletic wear. Let me give you an example. Up here on Amazon, I searched travel clothes, women wrinkle-free. That's all I put in there, and lots of options came up. But I would read what is beside it, and this is considered athletic wear. Do you see it's yoga sweatpants, loose, comfy, workout joggers, whatever. But these are some really cute pants that you could wear, well, anywhere. You could go touring in these things, or you could go out to eat. They come in all these different colors. The price is right. And they're made of polyester and spandex, which is traditional workout clothes. Have some good pockets, which is always important when it comes to travel clothes. So that's just an example. You look through and find your style. However, if you're still worried about your wrinkles, it's still going to bother you, you can do this instead. Pack yourself a travel size spray bottle, empty. Okay, you don't want to put anything in it because then it has to go in your liquids bag, and that would not be good. Put the water in it and then spray your clothes, and take the blow dryer on the heat setting and put it over there, and you're kind of creating your own steam, so to speak, and the wrinkles will fall out. Some people say hang the clothes in the shower. I haven't found where that works as well. I need to be directly on the wrinkle to have something come out, but you know, if it works for you, great. By the way, cruise ships don't usually allow you to bring steamers and things like that, so be sure to check if you're going on a cruise to see what's allowed and that sort of thing before you even bother packing anything like that. If not, this little trick will help you out. There are some things that you're going to see advertised to you, like the 4-in-1 travel containers, and it's little spray bottles that are all fit in this one container, and you just kind of twist it and you spray out what you need, and you think in your head, oh, that sounds like a great thing. That is bulky, and it's certainly too much to put into one of these liquid bags, which you're going to have to do. So think ahead of time. Just because it says travel, it doesn't mean it's a good idea. Pill organizers are another thing. I take a lot of supplements, not of my own volition, but because my doctor has me on these supplements, and I feel so much better since I've been taking them. So I really want to make sure I take those with me. However, there's a lot of them, and they don't necessarily fit into those little pill containers that you can buy. Now, once upon a time, I used to put my supplements in a little case like this. It folds up flat, or sort of flat, and you have these little individual envelopes that fit right in here. My supplementation routine has since changed, and I don't have to take things several times a day. I just have to take a whole bunch at one time, which is actually easier for me to manage. I do recommend this though if you do have some issues like that, because it's a nice size like this. But I have a better way of doing it now, and that is I make little disposable bags. I have one of those sealing machines, you know what I'm talking about, for food sealing, and I make these tiny little packets like this, and this is an example. The benefit to this is I can grab one out of my suitcase, stick it in my pocket, because all of these pants that I was describing to you, these athletic version of travel pants, they have pockets all over, which is awesome. So I'll grab one of these, put it out of my suitcase, put it in my pocket, take it down to breakfast, and then I can get get rid of it. So I'm actually making room, depending upon how many days that you have, and it's easily contained like this. Important note. Prescriptions and even supplements can present a problem depending on where you're going, so you'll have to do your research. Listen to this. Medicines that are commonly prescribed or available over the counter in the United States could be considered unlicensed or controlled substances in other countries. For example, in Japan, some inhalers and certain allergy and sinus medications are illegal. And also in the UAE, they have strict narcotics laws that have landed many a traveler in prison. Yikes. First, figure out the rules for your destination, then talk to your pharmacist because there are options these days. Another thing you just don't need would be a toothbrush holder. I don't even like the little things that go on top of the toothbrush each time, again, because of bacteria. If you can't disinfect that on a regular basis, then you're going to have thousands and billions and millions of bacteria inside that case, and to me that is just yucky. I was a 6th grade science teacher, so one of the things that we taught was how bacteria multiply every 20 minutes. If you have 1 million, 20 minutes later you're going to have 2 million. So it's just... yeah, there's that. So here's the wonderful case that came with my Sonicare toothbrush. And isn't that just lovely right there? Well, I'm not going to use this at all. Clearly, I don't want this, as we talked about a minute ago. What I'm going to do is fit it into this bag right here. I'm going to not use that. And each time I go to leave one hotel and go to the next, I'm going to wrap it in this. A lot of bacteria can't live in dry situations, so this is going to allow it to dry faster. So I'm going to cut the number of bacteria that is present on my toothbrush, and I'm going to put it in there. Now, other things will probably go in this bag as well, but look at the difference in size. I mean, you can see that this is just a bunch of bulk just for the toothbrush. Not necessary. And remember, toothpaste has to go into your liquid bag because paste is considered to be a liquid. And travel hangers. Really? Why do those even exist? Why do you need travel hangers? Any hotel I've been in, if you don't have enough hangers, you just call down to the front desk and you say, bring me some more hangers. And they do it. It's just not a problem. Actually, don't say that. Say, hello, can I trouble you for some more hangers, please? I'll be happy to come down and get them, and they'll give you more hangers. Other travel things you may want to avoid would be any kind of cosmetics container. This is an awesome one. I have, I think, 3 different cosmetic containers, and I use them all depending upon the trip that I'm going to take. However, if I'm going to pack in a carry-on, I probably am not going to take one of these because they're bulky. Yeah, sometimes you can squish them down, a little bit depending on how much stuff you put in there. But a better idea would be to place your makeup in a Ziploc bag and then cushion it by putting it in between some folded clothes. This keeps them nice and safe. So that's an idea that I use. And as a matter of fact, there are some travel items that are certainly worth purchasing. Smaller versions of your favorite products, like this brush, for example, is so much smaller than my full-size brush. And a makeup mirror, I need that magnification, and you can't always count on that in the hotels. And so I have this little small one. Actually, I have 2 of them because I forgot it one time. And so my husband went out and he bought me this one, which is a little bit smaller, but it came with some tweezers. That came in there. So that's something for you to consider. I've seen people who, especially the beauty bloggers, but of course they're different because they're beauty bloggers, and so they have these big old mirrors about this big, and they have lights all around the sides and things like that. I'm not going to pack that, but what I'll do with this, which actually it comes in even more handy, is I take my shower first, and then my husband gets in the shower, so I don't have to be in the bathroom with all that steam messing with my hair and everything. I take my little mirror and go sit by a window, and then I have really good lighting, and I can put my makeup on. So I love this thing. Now, when you're packing carry-on only, it's not just the carry-on as in suitcase. You have the benefit of a personal item. And I particularly am fond of this bag. I'm going to link it below, and I'll tell you why. And it's because it has 2 things that I was looking for in a bag. Number 1, it has this sleeve right here that will fit over the handle of your suitcase. So that means you can easily let it ride along. You just slide it over the handle, and you can see it fits well right here. This happens to have a little zipper right here, so you can actually access things like your passport or I was about to say boarding passes, but who uses a paper boarding pass anymore? But if you do, it would go right there. If you have a bag that you love that doesn't have one of those sleeves, they do have these little attachments that you could make for your suitcase that will hold your bag. It actually kind of hangs it over the side. You've probably seen pilots have something similar to that. I'll link one of those in the description box below because it's pretty handy. But what do I love best about this bag? This has a whole separate compartment on the bottom, and it's referred to as a shoe compartment. I like putting shoes in there. I think that's great. It saves room in your big suitcase, and because you're carrying it right here, it's really not a factor that it makes your bag more heavy, right? But you know, of course, it's up to you what you want to use that little thing for. And then you have this outer pocket right here, which is great. Have these little, what do you call these things? Net pockets, so that you could see through them and see what's there. This is for your keys. This is pretty handy because you don't want to lose your keys while you're on vacation. You don't need your keys while you're on vacation, but you will need them as soon as you get off the plane, right? You do have this little padded thing. It's supposed to be for a laptop. I rarely take a laptop anywhere that I go. I will take my iPad on occasion, but you know what? Sometimes I don't, because I'll just do everything I need to do on my phone, even reading. I have a Kindle app, so I can read Kindle books even on my phone, just to lighten my load. You also have some inside pockets here that's kind of hard for me to show you because the inside is black. Inside being black is not my favorite thing either, though. If I could have found a lighter liner on the inside, I probably would have preferred that, because have you noticed when you get in an airplane, the lights go down and you can't really see? But they make some really handy little things that you can, it's a light and you can clip it inside your bag, and all you have to do is touch it and it illuminates your bag. I don't have that. I just rely on my phone flashlight if I were to need that. Most of the time I can feel around in there and tell exactly what I'm looking for, so I don't really care. But this is a wonderful bag, a wonderful size. You can get a whole lot of things in here with the addition of a separate compartment on the bottom. So one of my, and this comes in different colors. I got black because, as you can see, I have a light colored suitcase and it scuffs easily, even though this is not checked. It still gets scuffed and marked. So dark colors are better. And this also comes with a shoulder strap that I don't use, clearly, but you may want to use it. There is never a time when I take this bag without this. I have taken this without another bag, but I have never taken this bag without this. So why do I want to carry it on my shoulder when I can carry it on here? There's always the question about a purse. You could just put a small purse inside, or maybe take everything out that you would use in a purse and pack the purse in here or something like that. Be creative. Think about what you could do. But then there's another question, and that is a fanny pack. Now, this day and age, we don't call them fanny packs anymore. We call them belt bags, or what is the other one? Sling bags. They're a lot cuter than those black nylon things that we had way back when. This is one that I got from Etsy that I love. I carry this with me all the time in Disney. And it turns out that most airlines and airports consider this an accessory, similar to a belt. For example, if you're wearing it, you know, it's just looking like an accessory or a belt. So that seems to be a little benefit. So you could fit a little bit more if you were to use a sling bag or a sling or a fanny pack, for lack of a better term. So anyway, if you run into an airport or an airline that says, no, that counts as a third personal item, well, just take it off and stuff it in your bag. It's not that big. I'm sure you have enough room to stuff it in there temporarily. And then, of course, once you get settled on the airplane, you can take it out and access whatever it is you need. That's good to know that in a lot of instances, it doesn't count as a third personal item. Now, there's certain type of travel products that I have mixed feelings about, and a travel pillow would be one of them. I could see if you had a long flight and you want to be as comfortable as possible that you might want to bring that. But like anything, it's important to do your own research. Some will tell you not to use what's provided on the plane, but bringing your own may not solve the problem either, because you never know who was there before you. Removable covers would probably be a good idea, but if you can sew, I'll link these below. As a rule, I don't fly with a pillow, a travel pillow, but if I did, I will do just like I do when I go in the car, and that is I just stick it in a regular pillowcase, and you can just use it the same way. See, it's not a perfect solution, but it is another layer of protection, if you know what I mean. However, if you are fortunate enough to ride in business class, then they're going to provide you with this little pillow anyway, and clean blankets. They come pre-packaged in this sealed packaged container, so you can feel a little bit better about that. Another thing that I don't necessarily travel with are my noise canceling headphones. I have them right over there, and I do recommend noise canceling headphones if I am in economy. If I'm going to fly business class, I'm not going to take them because they provide them, so I don't have to worry about that. And again, I've got my little wipes, right? So I always make sure I wipe those things down anyway, just to be on the safe side. I hope I got you thinking a little bit differently on ways that you can actually leave some stuff home or shrink your needs a little bit more, and to think creatively without busting the budget either. So that's what I'm going to do from here on out. We vow we are never going to check bags again. Of course, you never say never, but for the most part, we won't be doing it anymore. And these are the tips that I'm going to use. So thanks for watching. Talk soon. Bye.